Welcome everybody, it's Debbie O'Neill of Cricut Quick Designs, and this is going to be a series of tutorial videos about the Cricut Infusible Ink System. I want you to be successful when you go to do this yourself. So for today's project with the Infusible Ink System, we are going to be making some coaster. These are coaster blanks that Cricut has made specially to be able to use with the Infusible Ink System. They have a special coating on them so that the infusible ink will attach to the top of these and become permanent. These are $12.99 for a 4-pack, and these are the ones that are thinner and they have a cork backing on them. They also have a round ceramic coaster as well. We're going to be working on this particular type today, and of course for our infusible ink we're going to be using the Cricut Infusible Ink Pens. Yes, pens that you can use in your Cricut Maker or your Cricut Explore machine in Design Space to draw your designs and color it in and then be able to transfer it onto your object. So today we're going to be transferring it on the coasters, but you can use the same process for transferring it onto the shirts or tote bags. All right, so these come in 2 color sets. So there is a basic, this is the basic, and then they have a neon. This is the neon. They both come in 1.0 point and 0.4 point. Okay, so one is more of a fine tip pen and the other one is more of a marker type pen. And to be able to draw with these, you will need to have some laser paper. Okay, so 2 sheets of laser copy paper, and the kind that I bought was this one, in case you want to see. Now, why does it have to be laser copy paper? It needs to be laser copy paper because this laser paper is made to be used with heat. Okay, so we will be using our Cricut Easy Press 2 to be able to apply the infusible ink onto our coasters. Now the coasters require you to use 400 degrees, all right, so they're going to be super hot. The transfer part of this is not something you want the kids doing because it's very, very hot. But the Cricut Easy Press 2 reaches 400 degrees, and that's what you're going to see me using in the video today. Now Cricut does have at Cricut.com/heat guide, there is a chart that will let you know if you can use the blanks with the Easy Press 1 or the Easy Press 2 and what the temperature and time should be for both of those. So if you have any questions about that, go look out there. To be able to draw with our Cricut machines, we need to be able to have the laser paper, and you'll need to use the light grip mat for the copy and use the copy paper setting if you're going to cut it with your Cricut. And you'll also need to have with your Cricut Easy Press 2, you will need to make sure that you use the Easy Press mat. Now, why do you need the mat? The mats are made so that they help absorb any extra moisture because these are very moisture sensitive items, and also they help transfer the heat better, and they protect your surface that you're using with your Cricut Easy Press. As opposed to if you're using regular iron-on, you can use, Cricut says you can use either the Easy Press mat or a towel rolled up. You cannot use a towel using the infusible ink process, okay, because it will not work for you. All right, so we're going to have the Easy Press mat. You need a couple of sheets of white cardstock. This is just smooth white cardstock. One of them is going to go down here on top of your mat to protect your Easy Press mat from any spillage of infusible ink onto your Easy Press mat when we start applying heat. How this system works is that your Easy Press heat gets on the infusible ink and it becomes a gas, and then that gas absorbs into your blank material. In this case, it's going to absorb into the top of our coasters. But if you're using the shirts or the tote bags or whatever, it's the same kind of process. It becomes a gas and it absorbs in. So it's important you protect your surface. To adhere the laser paper to the tops of our coasters, we need to have the heat resistant tape because of course we're going to be using high heat Cricut Easy Press, and you'll need this. You cannot use a regular tape or washi tape. Please don't use that. It will melt onto your project because this is a heat resistant tape. It's going to be sold where you see the Infusible Ink products, okay? And then you will need a pair of scissors, and a pair of tweezers is always handy to have, and you will need a lint lint-free cloth. Why do you need that? Because we want to make sure that when we take these out of the package, there's no debris at all left on the top of these when we go to apply our ink, because it will absorb into whatever debris is on the top of that and it will ruin the look of your design. Okay, so that's important. Make sure it's a lint-free cloth. And the last thing you're going to need is a sheet of butcher paper. Now, in the Cricut transfer sheets for the infusible ink, there's sheets of this in there. You can use one of those, or you can use regular white butcher paper. Okay, so you'll need all of that, and of course your Cricut Maker or Cricut Explore machines to be able to do the drawing. Let's get started.
Okay, so we're in Design Space. We're going to set up our coasters. The first thing I'm going to do is go over to Shapes. I'm going to pull up the square. Now we know that our coaster is 3.75 inches square, so I want to change the square to 3.75 to give us a base to cut. Okay, so we've got this. I'm going to change it to white just so it's easier for us to see the design on it. All right, now I want to search for an image that I want to use. And there was this super cute little bug head here, the little Cricut. So I wanted to use that. Of course, you could pick anything. Now, I'm going to take this and put it on my coaster square here and size it to the size that's going to fit the best onto my coaster. Okay, so I know I want to add a word to the bottom here, so I'm going to go into text and I'm going to just type in fangirl, because I've got a Cricut bug head here and I am a big Cricut fan, so I am going to make a coaster to put in my craft studio. All you want to do is you want to line up where your words are, your image, make sure it's fitting within that space, okay, however you want it. Now I'm going to spread these words out just a little bit, so I'm going to do that by clicking on just the image, and then I'm going to come up here to letter spacing, and I want to increase the letter spacing just enough that it's going to look good. Maybe move it over a little bit. All right, now we're going to look at our image here. When we look at the square, here in the line type, it is a cut line, okay, which is fine, because what I want this to do is to cut out a piece of that laser paper as a square that we're going to use on our coaster, so that's fine. But when we look at the Cricut image, that is also a cut, and I don't want it to be a cut. I need to click the little down arrow in line type, and I want to change it to draw. Okay, and I want to do the same thing with my text, and I want to change that to draw. Okay, so now that I've got these on here and I've got it the way I want, I'm going to highlight the whole thing, and I'm going to come down here to attach, and I'm going to attach it. Okay, so now it's all one piece. So when we hit go, we're going to hit make it here in just a second. Make sure you you can double check that you've done the right thing, because you see over in the layers panel it shows that the text is a draw and the Happy Cricut is a draw and the square is a cut. So you can always check that right here. We're going to hit make it. When it gets over to your matte screen, you want to make sure that you mirror this image, because we're going to be flipping this over after it draws with our Cricut. We're going to be flipping it over and heat setting it on top of our coaster, so we've got to have it mirrored, so make sure you do that. Once you've done that, then just continue the process and we're going to move on to the next thing.
Okay, now we're going to put the Infusible Ink Pen into the Cricut machine, and I already have my laser copy paper sitting on my light grip mat. It's ready to go, and I'm going to, just like with the other Cricut pens, there is an arrow on it. So you take the cap off, you open up the accessory holder here on the left, and you do this, and then you push it down until you hear it click, and then you close the holder. Okay, then Design Space is going to prompt you to go ahead and load your paper, and then it's going to prompt you to go ahead and draw your design. So we're going to do that. Now it will draw the design first, and then it will go in and cut around the outside square for us. So it will be drawing. And this will take a few minutes depending upon how complicated your design is. Now, we're drawing with the Cricut, but you could also just draw your freehand, your own design. So if you wanted to have the kids draw something, you could do that, but the only challenge there is that it being in the reverse, in the mirrored direction. With most kids' drawings, it probably doesn't matter that much if it's going left or right when you go to apply it, but words would be difficult for you to actually hand letter those. There we go. We can unload our design. Okay, so now that we have drawn with our Infusible ink marker pens onto our square that we're going to use for our coaster, now the fun starts. Now you get to color it. But before you do that, I recommend you put a sheet of white cardstock down on the bottom. So I have a 12 by 12 piece under here just to make sure I don't have any ink spillage onto my surface, because it will transfer onto other things and you do not want that to happen. And then I have a piece of another piece of the laser paper down here just to be double careful, and then I will have my image here that we're going to color with the 1.0 neon markers, because I thought that would be fun, and that's what we're going to do next. Now, using the markers, I have colored in the little bug head and this. Now these colors look more muted, okay, but they are actually going to be as vibrant as the colors of the barrels of your pens. Now, I did want to point out, see, as I was coloring on here, some of that ink transferred down here onto this piece of paper underneath it. That's why it's super important that you have something underneath it when you go to use it, okay? When you go to do your coloring. Now we're going to be ready to transfer this onto our blank, so we'll be doing that next. Now we're ready to put our transfer onto our coaster. So I've opened up the package, and there are 4 coasters in the package, and I wanted to point out to you that between a couple of these there are these sheets. Those are just to protect the surface. Be sure and take these off before you use them. Okay, so we're going to take one of our coasters, and you want to use that lint-free cloth, and you're going to wipe it off really good. You want to make sure there's nothing left behind. Now, these coasters are 3.75 inch square, and they have a cork back, and then there is this white piece. Now, you just want to make sure that you have wiped that completely clean, and then I'm going to set that down here, and I want to then take my piece that I've colored, and remember it was mirrored, so it's in reverse, so I'm going to lay it down here now on my coaster just like so, and then I want to use the Cricut heat resistant tape, and I'm going to tape this laser paper onto my coaster shapes. I'm going to go ahead and add another little piece over here just to be certain, because you don't want it moving. Once we start applying the heat to it, it needs to stay completely still on the coaster. Okay, now I have already gone ahead and prepped my Easy Press to 400 degrees, and I've set it for 60 seconds. Now, I have my Easy Press mat here, and I have a piece of the butcher paper is going to go down on top of my mat. Then my coaster is going to go with the image facing up towards me, okay? And then I'm going to take that piece of white cardstock I told you needed, and you're going to lay that on top of this, okay? Now your image is right here. Once we start applying the heat, we want to leave this completely flat. We're going to lift this up, make sure that your Easy Press is on the entire image, and then you want to go ahead and hit the go button and let it count down. And we want to leave it so it is completely smooth. No rocking, no sliding it around. I'm just going to keep my hands off of it and let it count down. Now, I will tell you that these coasters get extremely hot. And when I say extremely hot, I mean you will not be able to touch it for several minutes after we take the heat off. I know it's super tempting to go ahead and see the big reveal of what it looks like, But the issue with that is it's going to be so hot you're not going to be able to touch it. So please resist doing that. Right now we're just letting it count down. Once it counts down to 60 seconds, the Easy Press is going to beep. Okay? And then we can lift it. We want to lift it straight up. I'm going to put it back on its holster here, and I want to leave it just like it is. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to move any of the paper here. I'm going to leave it just like this, and we're going to let this completely cool down, and then we'll be back to see the big reveal of what it looks like. Now we're ready for the big reveal, so I'm going to take off the cardstock, and as you can see, it now has the ink on this side that's come off of the laser paper. So that's why you want to put a piece of cardstock on it before you put your Easy Press on top of it, so you don't end up with that ink on the bottom of your Easy Press. This is cool enough I can pick it up. So we're just going to remove the tape off of it, and it helps to have the little tweezers to help you get that up. All right, you're ready to see it? Ta-da! Look how cute it is. Oh my gosh. Now it is super adorable. I can use this in my craft studio, but more importantly, it is completely dry on here. It is completely permanent, and I can put both hot and cold beverages on this, and none of this is ever going to fade off of here. But isn't it cute? Isn't that fun? It is just such a cool thing to do. Okay, I want to show you one more thing, just a word to the wise. I did the same thing where we used the markers to draw the little lights, okay, the little light bulbs here, and then I used the markers and I colored it in. But then I used one of the markers and I wrote the word brilliant. Well, I didn't think about the fact that I had to mirror the image, because when I pressed it on here, look, it's in reverse. So, word to the wise, mirror your images before you use them. Handwriting is particularly difficult to do in a mirrored way, so you may want to skip that process. I could certainly have just typed in the word brilliant, and then when I mirrored the image, that would have been fine. Now, I am going to have future tutorials that will show you how to use the transfer sheets on the coasters as well, so stay tuned for that. Please leave me a comment and let me know if you have any tutorial videos you would like to see me do for you. And be sure and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that notification button so that every time I push out a new video, you'll get notified there's a new one waiting for you.